Tell me you don't want to be part of kickball history.
I don't want to be a part of kickball history.
I'm not making a request. I'm prepared to blackmail you with a picture of you wearing Kanye West Venetian sunglasses, Nut Hugger jeans, and Louis Vuitton driving shoes.
That's Photoshop.
Explain that to media takeout.
I'll risk it.
It's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. Yeah, it's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got some love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the booth, I gotta shoot the truth.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to Season 3, Episode 3, The Red Ball of the Boondocks Podcast. This episode, when the Chinese call in some old debts, Ed Wuncler is forced to gamble all of Woodcrest's economic fortunes on a kickball game with its sister city, Wuxiang, China. Kickball legend Huey Freeman is to come out of self-imposed exile. But before that, today is a very intimate, very special episode as MJ and Tiara are both out, and it's just me and the boys, Dean and our guest host, Demand.
Hello, neighbors and friends. How you doing?
It's good to have you back, man.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back.
It's not it's like I don't get to see you enough.
I figured I didn't want to overstimulate you with all this demandness, especially in the month of, the last day of Demogust. And that's why I suggested every 2 weeks for Disputed instead of every week, because I think we get tired of each other at some point.
I don't think so. I think we have a lot of fun. I enjoy your company.
I do you. I'm always a bit anxious because I know if I get too excited, one way or the other, stuff's just going to start flying out of my mouth and then I can't take it back. So I just got to be careful.
Sure you can. We just DM Dean and say, "Hey, can you cut out this?"
I have not been asked to do that in a while. So
yeah, I think mostly we let it hang out. But I'm just saying there is an erase button for those who need it, like myself.
That's it's like Missy Elliott, that backwards part.
I can hear it in my head, but I'm not going to embarrass myself by attempting it.
Do it.
It's your
and that's why we love you, Lynxi.
Well, we'll just add it to the list. It's
y'all nice.
All
right.
Can you make it easy?
Current events,
man. Yeah, I put some stuff down. I don't know if you want to go over those first or if you have some other stuff on your mind that you want to cover.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
y'all. I'm in the trenches. End of month is horrible for a business owner for the most part. But you did have some pretty big news here, which is, go ahead.
Yeah. So, first of all, rest in peace to Ed Asner, who played Ed Wuncler. Two totally different personalities in real life. Ed Asner was actually a very, very good guy. Everybody that ever worked with him, it sounds like, just loved him. He was a curmudgeon, but he was an affable curmudgeon, apparently. So everybody that sent their condolences to his family, all the actors that have worked with him, all seem to have loved him a lot. So I hope that's even the case with the actors from the Boondocks who got to work with him. So, rest in peace to him. He was 91. So
wow.
Yeah.
Also, that's a lot of summers.
Also, by the time this comes out, well, the Patreon folks will get to hear this, but we want to give a shout out to Cat Williams on his 50th birthday on September 2nd. And finally, the big news is there is a Fresh Prince reboot Now this is something apparently that's been in the works for a bit. But today was the first I heard of it, and they have announced Jabari Banks will be playing Will. It will be an hour-long episode. It's going to be called Bel Air, and from the trailer that I've seen that was used to create the idea, it's going to be a little bit more real. And we watched a little bit of that before we kicked things off. What did you guys think of that?
Like I kind of said before, at first I'm like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this. I want to laugh. You know what I mean? It's kind of that conditioning from our youth and our experience with Fresh Prince, but whatever. I kind of don't like when people kind of gatekeep things or are afraid of letting things just branch out and be what they want to be. So give it to us. Give us gritty Fresh Prince. Maybe this will start off a whole new genre of, Happy Days is now The Sopranos. And I mean, who knows?
Oh yeah, because you imagine Fonzie being a real fucking Hell's Angel. Oh man.
Put a pin in that one. That's another one to jot down. What's it? Smokey and the Bandit.
Smokey and the Bandit. Yeah. Happy Days.
Happy Days. And there was something else you mentioned before we started. There was another one. I'll think of it in a minute.
What was it? Yeah, I can't remember now. But I am looking forward to it. I'm going to give it a shot. I know that because when it came out today was that they announced that Jabari Banks was going to be playing Will, and Will Smith actually video called him to tell him that he got the role, and it was really cool watching that. So he was super excited, and the kid is actually from West Philadelphia. Jabari Banks is from West Philadelphia, so he's
born and raised.
Yeah, yep.
Where did he spend his time? Most of his days.
Well,
on the playground,
maybe.
My only concern, I agree with you guys, with you all, that it'll be interesting to see how they put it together, especially with it being more gritty. Mm-hmm. Like I mentioned to you earlier, my biggest concern would be it turning into like trauma porn. Like I'm totally done with watching Black folks and even in fantasy getting killed. I'm over it. So I mean, that's my light concern. But if like we talked about, if Will Smith is involved with it, that apprehension's much less.
So yeah. So my question on that is it different if it's quote unquote trauma porn, if black creators who are making this show, versus white creators who create trauma porn?
Do I feel about it that it's different, or because
I can only ask you two. So I mean, but I'm curious. So I mean, what's your opinion on those things? I mean, it seems very, I mean. Well, I don't know. I can't. I'm curious about it. So,
go ahead.
For me, I would say no. Honestly, I mean, I'm not at the point where I'm kind of like sick of that shit yet, because I typically won't watch it. Sorry if that makes me a bad Black person, y'all, but I think it's because after we went through this whole recent Black Lives Matter real life bullshit, I was just kind of like, I can't do this. Like, I'm not there's like a lot of pop culture shit, even Netflix documentaries that I haven't even watched yet, because I'm not ready to do that. And like, they just did the Grownish covering all the Black Lives Matter stuff. Didn't watch it until yesterday because I just didn't want to go there. So I don't really care who's creating it. I kind of just, typically if I'm watching TV, I want to get away from the real world and this trauma for a while. And so I don't care who's doing it. I need a break. But yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I kind of feel the same way. If it's done well, I guess, because like I love Lovecraft Country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was depth to that.
Right.
As long as it's just like with anything. I guess if it's done with care and it's, I don't know about any. I can only speak for me, but I can feel the difference. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a difference between, I hate to crack on somebody's favorite show, but the way they treat death in, I'll use Lovecraft Country versus the way Black people are treated in, say, Supernatural. You know what I mean? Like, I've been watching 12 seasons of that with my wife. Like, every time a Black person shows up, I hate the dog on it because I actually like the show. But every time a Black person shows up, they're either I know two things. One, they're an antagonist, probably, and two, they're going to die fairly soon. Yeah. And so
I did like Rufus. Rufus and Bobby together. I wanted a spinoff show of that, by the way. Two old guys out hunting. I remember the first time seeing Rufus, he comes up to Bobby's door and says, "I need you to help me bury a body." So,
that's a true friend, right? Yeah, true. That's a true friend. If you got one of them, that's ride or die right there.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about because even women on that show,
man. Bruh.
And I don't know if they mean to do that or if that's just it's kind of like the structural racism. It's just part of the cycle, and you don't think about it.
I think Stephen Barnes is a very successful author, and he wrote this writing program called the Life Writing. And it's based off of the hero's journey is what it's based off of. And he also talks about how the writers, the more someone writes, the more their subconscious feelings and thoughts come out. So, like, using Supernatural as an example, it may not be a conscious thing, but it looks like it's a subconscious thing with the creators and maybe like the directors or whoever's, making the show. They may not even know that they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, after 20 seasons, 20 seasons, is that right?
15
seasons. Yeah, 15 seasons. That they've had a myriad of writers and showrunners. I mean, Eric Kripke, I think, left after season 8. If that, he created the show. He's actually the one who actually brought The Boys to Amazon. And he's done some pretty good things. So yeah, I mean, they've changed showrunners and writers a lot on that. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious about how that all takes place. You know what I mean? I mean, about how that feeling of the show has been consistent throughout, even though they've had so many changes in showrunners and stuff.
That is a good question. I bet you a lot of the showrunners and the decision makers look similar.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm excited about, like we were talking about earlier, Reservation Dogs, which it's all indigenous actors. It is produced by Taika Waititi, who, I mean, Maori from, so indigenous himself, just from another place. But yeah, I mean, it's brilliantly written. And they actually, in the most recent episode, had Kanyetia Horn, who plays Tanis in Letterkenny, on the show as a character on the show.
Sold.
Oh, I love Tanis. I coined the phrase "big Tanis energy." So she is awesome. You like that? Yeah, right.
Well done, sir. Well done. No, you can't see my reaction on video. Well done. Well done.
But yeah, I love her so much. She is such a force, and she's brilliant. And I've ever since my first seeing her on Letterkenny, I always hoped that they would do a spinoff show of The Res with her, and this feels a lot like what I would have expected. So that's one of the things I love about it. So yeah. And they do well with that, and that's kind of my feeling about Fresh Prince as well. I mean, if they've got, if this is written, created, directed, produced by Black folks, I'm all in. I mean, so that's kind of where I am. What interesting about Lovecraft Country, though, the guy who wrote it, Matt Ruff, white dude. Yeah. We listened to, and the book is really, really good. Lots of good history. I mean, and I was listening to, Tiara and I do Audible. We've got hundreds of books on Audible just because we're ADHD and we can't sit there and read. So Audible's been really good. And I picked that up because Lovecraft, Jim Crow era, black lead character. I listened to a little bit of it and I downloaded it. I told Tiara because I said, this sounds really interesting. So we listened to it and we're like halfway through it and I'm just kind of seeing what else the author has done. And I see he's a white dude. I'm like, wow. And I told Tiara and she goes, really? Cause it feels very authentic, like an authentic black voice has come out. So it was really surprising. So and even the changes that they did in the TV show compared to the book were still, I mean it just added to it. It was, great flavor. Unlike some of the stuff that they've done with American Gods, which kind of, there've been some dodgy showrunners there, and which caused Orlando Jones. All right, Orlando Jones, to leave, and because he played one of the major characters, Anansi, Mr. Nancy, and oh god, he was brilliant at it. And I'm glad they are making an Anansi voice as well. So, but even though Neil Gaiman, white British dude, wrote all that, I think he has huge respect for those characters in mythology. So I think what he did and then what ended up happening with showrunners on there kind of screwed a lot of that up. And that's why the show's now been canceled. So. But yeah, looking forward to Anansi Boys. If you've read that, I don't know if you've read that at all, but it's a really good book.
I haven't. I've had American Gods in the house, and I have some of the same stuff like the ADHD man. It's like I can only sit here for so long. I can barely get through comic books.
Hey,
I can barely get through comics.
By the way, Audible, if you would like to be a sponsor of our show, we'd love to have you. Get the book on audible.com.
Go ahead, Lynxi. Do a quick read. Go ahead. You sound the most professional of the three of us.
Oh no, not at all.
Oh no. So what you got going on, Lynxi?
Oh, guys, all I do is work. I'm telling you. I think you guys think I'm bullshitting. That's all I do.
You have to do something else. That's an order.
I explore different work opportunities. So we'll kind of see what's going on with some things. And then maybe in a few weeks, I'll have new announcements.
All right.
So,
very cool.
Yeah.
Sending out the good vibes.
Yes. Though I don't know if I want to do this, but whatever. I'll try it.
Lots of changes seem to be happening with everybody. I mean, we're getting new podcasts, we're getting new jobs, we're moving, everything. It's like everybody doing stuff. And I hope whatever MJ. It sounds like MJ is going through some personal stuff right now, and we wish her the best. So, and Tiara is off on vacation out in Venice Beach. So,
absolutely. Is she okay with the air quality and everything?
She seems to be doing all right.
Okay. Good.
She's taking a few pictures of her just with toes in the sand. So
yeah, I know that was her dream. Yeah.
She is. Oh God. I mean, I can't tell you how much I hate Los Angeles and the surrounding area, which is why I'm not there. But yeah, it's, she's very happy and I'm happy that she's happy. So if she'd have gotten there and it had been shitty, I would have been really sad for her because,
oh man.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Even though I don't like it, I know a lot of people love it, and that's fine. But I mean, it's not definitely. I live after living there for 15 years. Hard no.
Mm. All right.
Amen.
All right. Anything else we want to chat about before we get going?
I'm good to go.
All right. So do you want to? So we haven't fully decided. Do you want to do the show read, and I'll play clips as we go?
Sure. I was going to say, I'll start. You jump in when you want.
I can do that. Sure.
Let's do it.
All right.
All right, y'all. So we open at the Onceler Mansion. Ed is having drinks with a Chinese businessman, Mr. Long Dao, and Dao tells Onceler about how in China, if you lose $20 billion, they shoot you. In America, they give you another $20 billion.
How true is that?
I was like, Mike, we need to adopt. I have no problems with adopting that. You know what I mean? Like, make you a little more responsible.
Well, this episode happened to come out, shortly. I mean, it's a couple of years after the big bailout. So I think a lot of that's what this is based on.
Yep, every time. Dao then discusses his kickball team and expects a great contest. Onceler tells him that his team shits on their team. Dao then tells Onceler that his associates want all of their money, and Ed says that's not possible, but suggests that they work it out over a wager. Cut to the Freeman house, and we see Granddad trying to talk Huey into playing kickball. He refuses and says that he can't go back after giving a little girl a permanent severe limp. Granddad says that Ed is asking him personally.
Ed Onceler owns everything, including the bank that owns this house. He just got $20 billion in bailout money, and I'm trying to be his best friend. If Ed wants to tell me to jump, I'm going to say how high and throw your ass in the air.
I'm not gonna play.
Okay, fine. If you don't want to play, you don't want to play.
I mean,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Demont. No, I was just going to say we should probably stop to discuss here how you guys are all feeling about this corporate bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first clip I picked. But before we get into that, I love how Ed brings up the wager. He says, "How's your gambling problem?" And Dong, what was his? I almost said Long Dong. What is his name?
Long Dao.
Long Dao. Yeah, that's foul. Messed that all up. He says, "Much better now." Like he just right into it, like just dirty.
Yep. Yeah. Onceler is not going to pull any punches. He's going to do every dirty trick that he can come up with, and Long is not any different. So
except actually lift a finger, as we'll find out.
True.
But one of the reasons I picked this clip is one, because Granddad is very granddad in for himself. He's trying to get him a yacht.
Yep.
But the other thing is when he says, if Mr. Onceler asks me to jump, or tells me to jump, I won't ask how high and throw your ass in the air. My dad used to say to me me and my sister, it's when I say jump, you don't ask how high you jump. So when I heard the extension of that and throw your ass in the air, I was like, man, I wish my dad had heard that. I'd love to hear that as a kid. I just got so tickled. It took me back.
Yeah, I guess cheese isn't working anymore for Granddad. Ed's on to him. Yeah, and I love the next part where they're out on the kickball field and Granddad's walking Huey up by the hand to deliver him.
That is literally the very next line after that clip. I love it.
Here he is. So that's I just love that, and Huey's just pissed.
Not having it.
Then Ed, and I'll jump in here. That Ed explains to Huey about the Wusheng Woodcrest Junior Senior Harmonious Kickball Tournament and why it's so important. Huey is adamant he's not going to play because the little girl he gave a permanent severe limp to. Ed then produces the little girl from behind his back, shows that she's fine, and he has her dance in front of him as he explains to Huey that Huey was just too good, and that he had to play on his motion so that he could keep him from beating his personal kickball team. Ed then introduces the Woodcrest Harmonious Kickball Team, a group made of Blackwater mercenaries and children from the Dominican Republic. Ed then tells him that if he doesn't play well, he will blackmail him, as in the intro, with a Photoshop picture of him dressed in fashionable clothes. Nuthugger jeans is one of them. Huey says he'll take his chances.
All right, Huey. I'm not a fan of the truth, but here it is. The Chinese are calling in some debts, and I had to bet everything on this game. My banks, your home, everything. You think I'm bad? Just wait till the Chinese take away all the freedoms you enjoy. Freedom to complain. Freedom to have as many offspring and assault rifles as you like. The freedom to surf the internet for pornography of your choice.
Not the porn.
Yo, and then I picked this clip because, I'm going to get us all in trouble this episode.
Good.
Like,
Yay!
I have like a lot of close friends who are from China, who live in China, like, and they tell me about like how this shit is no joke. Like, China does not mess around. But like, I feel like it kind of goes, I don't remember if it was last week's stupid white people question where it was like, why don't you go back where you came from or whatever?
Week before last, yeah.
It reminds me of this shit because anytime you get into a discussion with people about like the bullshit that goes on in America, the systemic racism, all this kind of stuff, they always want to say, but you're so lucky, but you don't know how good you have it in America. You guys get to do everything and da-da-da-da. And listen, yeah, China has a lot of fucked up shit, concentration camps, censorship, lack of Google. I get it, but please don't think that excuses all the bullshit we have going on stateside as well. Okay.
Exactly.
And I think that's kind of like a subtext from something you just said a little while ago and kind of where this whole episode closes out. But I'll save it for later this time, for real.
Yeah. So, and even after all of that, Huey doesn't give a shit. Then Huey at that point goes for a walk in the park where he runs into a little Chinese girl. She calls out to Huey for quitting the game. Huey says she's got him mistaken for someone else. Then she doubles down and tells him who she is. Ming, captain of the Wusheng team. She tells her story of becoming an elite kickball player from birth and that she needs a worthy opponent. Huey repeats that she's mistaken. She then kicks the ball at him. He stops it in a spectacular fashion, agrees to play, but only if it's a simple game of kickball. Now, real quick, that thing where how Huey caught the ball on his foot and then kind of swung it around, that's a Bruce Lee move from Enter the Dragon. So he's working out and someone comes bothering him in the room. He's got his legs straight out and then he kind of just swings it front and then puts it down and it's just very slow. And so that's homage as Huey likes to do to Bruce Lee. So back at the kickball field, the team is practicing and Wunsler sees that Huey has returned.
So you decided to come fight for freedom. Well, you made the right choice. All right, bring it in. A few minutes ago, in a gross violation of my civil liberties, the INS repossessed the 5 Dominican players from the junior squad of the Woodcrest Harmonious kickball team.
Lynxi?
Yeah, that shit just made me laugh.
Oh, Jesus. Repossessed. I mean, come on. I mean.
And his civil liberties.
Right.
Right.
Lord.
The Dominican players, that also remind, I don't know if this was around this time or not. There was a Dominican team that won the Little League World Series and they had this fabulous pitcher. I can't think of his name. Mm-hmm. And he was probably he was supposed to be 12 and he was like as big as Dean. And
yeah, in fact, I think that's kind of, so yeah, they're in my trivia stuff here on my other page. It says and this kind of goes back to it'll come up again to that Dolo, the big guy that's in the episode so this is also a reference to the 2008 Summer Olympic Games in Beijing and the controversy surrounding the ages of the Chinese gymnast team members. So that's what this is a reference to. But yeah, I do remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, that kid was like, it came out, that kid was like 16. Just throwing on 12-year-olds, bro. I was like, what?
Running them down.
That happens in kids' sports a lot, evidently.
That's ridiculous. I mean, come on. So yeah, so right as at that moment, after Ed has explained all this, a helicopter flies in. One of the mercenary players gets a message in his earpiece that there's a POW rescue in Afghanistan that has to take place. They all hop in the chopper and take off, even though Wunsler tells them they're not allowed. But they do it anyway. It tells Huey that he is now the team captain and he has got 2 days to assemble a new crew. So
that kind of, I don't know if you guys caught that too. I was like, oh shit, Blackwater.
Mm-hmm.
They were causing trouble even back then.
Oh,
God
yeah.
Damn it.
Oh yeah,
That's a Dick Cheney was running some of that, I believe, along with whatever that other thing that he was involved with. I can't remember, but I think he was involved with some of the Blackwater stuff as well, or at least hiring them.
I'm not.
Halliburton.
Halliburton, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Yes, Dick was in some stuff.
Yeah. See. Speaking of him, I've got to say Christian Bale did an amazing job playing Dick Cheney. I don't know if you saw the movie, but he did a really good job.
What is the name of that movie?
Dick, I think.
Get out.
I think so. I'll have to look it up. Christian, come on.
What's some Academy? Didn't that win some Academy Awards too? Somebody won an Academy Award for their performance, I thought. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. I'm gonna go ahead and look.
Christian Bale, Dick Cheney. Oh no, it's called Vice. That's what it was called. But God, he looked. I mean, they did makeup and he put on weight and stuff. He looked just like him. I mean, he did an amazing job. So if you get a chance, go see it. I'm not a big fan of Christian Bale, but he did an amazing job. Sam Rockwell plays W in it. So,
oh my goodness,
it was
wow.
It was a good movie. Let's see who. Yeah, Christian Bale was Dick Cheney. Amy Adams was Lynn Cheney. Sam Rockwell W. Steve Carell played Rumsfeld. Oh God. Let's see. Oh my God! Did Tyler Perry was in it? I'm wondering, did he play Powell? I gotta find it, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. So let me see where Mary Cheney, was it? Scooter Libby, Lisa Gay Hamilton played Condoleezza Rice. Where the hell? Tyler Perry played Colin Powell. So there you go.
Wow. Christian Bale won a few Best Actor awards. He didn't win, he didn't win an Oscar, but he won Critics' Choice and a Golden Globe for Best Actor.
And that for that? Nice.
Yeah, I thought he had won something for that one.
Hey, he deserved it.
I'm not a big fan of his personally, but he's good at his job.
Yeah. I don't, it's between Don and I over at Podsgear, Don hates Tom Cruise. And
how?
Oh, he just
that was a joke.
Yeah, I don't know. His opinion is any movie with Tom Cruise in it would be better with any other actor playing that part.
Absolutely. He's one of those actors. Like I always say, Will Smith used to be one of those actors. Andy Samberg is one of those actors. Tom Cruise is entertaining, but to me, I don't care what role he's playing. It's always Tom Cruise playing Tom Cruise as the Last Samurai.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Jeez.
Honestly, Ryan Reynolds is like that for me, but he makes me laugh, so I don't care that much.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he makes fun of himself, and he and his wife are always kind of poking. I mean, they're adorable. I mean, just all the way they are together. But I mean, he does not take himself that seriously, which I think that's kind of the difference between him and Tom Cruise, who's
Yeah, he seems to be very well. In the Deadpool movies, anyway, he's
right.
Very self-aware. Like,
yeah,
I agree. But yeah, it's Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds in every movie. But
pretty much, yeah.
He's likable, so
yeah. Yeah, I guess if you find a character that reminds you of Ryan Reynolds, you should have Ryan Reynolds play that role. So, all right, you wanna pick up from there, Lynxi, or you want me to keep going? Or
sure. Sorry, I was on the Wikipedia page.
It's okay
for that movie. I was like, this has to be a comedy. All right. So at that moment, we read that part.
Yeah. 8:23.
Later, they reassemble at the kickball field. With them, they've got Tom, Riley, Miss Von Hausen, and Ed the Third, Cindy McPherson, Butch Milsovic, and a Tibetan named Jigme, who only wants to play because he hates the Chinese. Granddad is even in the lineup now, and Onceler pulls Huey aside and tells him how bad he thinks the group is. Onceler speaks to the team to let them know, even though he doesn't have time to train them, he's got them the best shoes from his child labor. Ed the third is so fucking wrong. Ed the third puts his shoes on and gives a kick to a ball that goes flying right into the hands of a very large man who's standing next to Mr. Long Dao. And Mr. Long Dao wishes the Woodcrest team best of luck as he tells the man to give them their ball back. The man kicks it so hard that it hits a tree and the tree falls.
Yeah, that and I love how Huey, everybody else turns around to watch that, and Huey's just the entire time just staring him down. So he is nonplussed. So, but yeah, and that's the one that's Dolo, the one that that they end up talking about. But yeah, so that I think is probably the that whole in a way this kind of reminds me of Trading Places. So the two rich old white guys in Trading Places make a bet that affects everybody else. So that's kind of where this whole thing kind of a lot of that reminded me of that.
Now that I hear you say that, like how I said, I feel like this is what this whole episode is all about.
Mm-hmm.
That reinforces that, but I'm not going to spoil it till the end this time.
All right, fine. Let's see. Where were we?
10:23.
10:23. Yes. So it's game day now, but before things get going, each team is trying to get opposing players ejected from the game. After the game begins, Huey takes the mound. The team encourages Huey until he makes his first pitch to Ming, which she kicks out of the park. The next kicker is an old woman, 73-year-old woman with diabetes, kidney failure, hasn't peed in, what did she say, 3 years or something like that?
3 years.
And Huey doesn't fare any better. She slams it. Once Lynxi comes out to tell Huey to get his shit together. After that, Huey starts pitching strikeouts. When the large man, Dolo, that's one of the ones that they were at the very beginning where they're trying to get players ejected. Onceler's trying to get Dolo ejected because he's obviously a man, but the Chinese government says that he's only 12. So, so Dolo comes to the plate. He kicks the ball right into the gut of Ed III, which sends him back flying into the center field wall. He catches it anyway. Dolo is out. The side switch, and now Woodcrest is up to the plate, starting with Huey. He gets a base kick. Riley's up next. He points that he's going to kick a home run. Just he's doing a Babe Ruth thing, but he strikes out, of course, with Granddad saying, "Good grief!" So that's a whole Peanuts analogy right there. So Riley is Chuck. And he keep missing the ball, and then with Granddad giving a good grief at the end there.
Real quick before you go on.
Yeah.
I did not notice this during the episode where he was doing the graffiti, but this is the first time I've noticed, and I did not notice this before. Riley is left-handed, and I don't think they've ever made a big deal about it or they showed it, but Riley's left-handed, and the only reason I noticed is because I'm left-handed.
Interesting.
And he's the only player that we see kick from that side of the plate too.
Huh. I wasn't even paying attention. Good eye. Yeah, I did not spot that.
Some new trivia for you fools, because I never noticed that either.
The side switch. So Riley misses. He strikes out. Tom then is up next on the plate. Gives his big stretches. Everything's back's popping. Crack. He kicks. It's a grounder to center field. The center field then kicks it over to Ming at the mound, who then throws it right at Tom's head and knocks him out. Next, Granddad is up. Ming pitches. He makes a fairly pitiful kick. I think they referred to it as anemic. Back, just a kind of a dribbler back right to the bottom of the mound. Granddad notices and starts to walk and sees Ming with the ball. He says, "Okay, I'm out." She goes ahead and throws the ball at him anyway, knocks him out. The game continues with Dolo running through Jigme on his next kick. Then the Chinese player beat Jigme up as he's running the bases. Onceler then confronts the ref to find out why he's letting them get away with all the abuse, especially since he paid him off. And apparently the Chinese folks pay him a better wage. Then in the dugout, Onceler expresses the importance of winning this game.
Listen, I don't care if the refs are cheating. We cannot lose this game. The stakes are too high.
Well, who bet the whole town on a kickball game?
Okay, maybe it was a wrong decision to bet all of our economic futures on a kickball game. Well, we're Americans. We don't quit just because we're wrong. We just keep doing the wrong thing until it turns out right.
This is stupid. I'm going home.
What about them, Huey? Your teammates. You got them into this. Now you're turning your back on them?
We gotta make the motherfuckers pay.
Come on, Huey, I don't want to play no more neither, but we can't go out like a bunch of little bitches.
Granddad?
I'm trying to save my house and my big titty porn.
It's up to you, Huey. The sooner you stop holding back and decide to play like a winner, the sooner we can all go home.
Go ahead, Devon.
There's a lot here.
There is.
There is a lot here. First of all, we've got Ed Onceler being the manipulator and conning poor Huey to go back out there. The team's in shambles. Let's go get him. And there was something else that there's another reason. What was it? Cheating. We're Americans. We don't. How did he put it? We don't.
We don't stop doing the wrong thing. We just keep doing it until it's right.
Until it's right. And I lost my mind the first time I watched it because I immediately thought of America pulling out of Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, it was, and MJ's voice popped in my head. He is so prophetic. Like it was like perfectly timed. It was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we did. That's pretty much what we did. We're just going to keep doing the wrong thing until somebody finally is brave enough to pull us out. And let's leave a shitstorm while we're at it.
What's funny about that is at the time this episode came out, we were in Afghanistan for almost 9 years at that point.
Well, I don't think anything else needs to be said. I think I'm just gonna let that one go.
Yeah, I mean, so God, it's been 20 years now, and I'm glad we're out. I don't think we should have been there in the first place. That's just my opinion. I know that there are others that have differing views. If the whole point was to go get bin Laden, we did that, 10 years ago now? And,
Taliban offered him up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, y'all can have him. Here you go. No. Well, nope. Turned it down. I'm like, okay. I just want to know who got rich.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't me.
Right.
No, not I said to fly.
Exactly. That Onceler is just, I almost picked that part just of him saying that we don't quit just because we're doing the wrong thing. I almost made that the intro clip because that was so good. That's perfection. I mean, how we do things, as the American government, when we get involved in something, even if we're fucking it up, we're going to keep fucking it up until we give up fucking it up, I guess. Or if it turns out right somehow by a miracle.
Right. Yeah. They, and in the dugout, was Ed Onceler was, gung ho, and Riley said, we can't go out like no bitches. That also reminded me of the attitudes towards going over there. It's like, yeah, we can't let them, the the metaphorical them, I guess, do that to, quote unquote us. We got to go get them. And, then we can't be no punks. And let's take care of it. Blah, blah, blah. That macho American posture. And like, that's like that whole scene reminded, like, it just right. It was like Afghanistan right in my face, man.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Lynxi, you got anything?
Oh, no. Nope. I'm with everything we're freaking saying. Only that it's all going to tie back in to what this episode is all about.
So at this point, Huey he's in. So he comes up to the plate and immediately kicks a 3-run home run. So now the game's getting exciting. The ref at that, a little bit later, is seen taking a smoke break as Jin Rummy sneaks up behind him and kidnaps him. And then, they're trying to get the game going again, but they can't find a ref. The players all take a break. Huey goes to get water and runs into Ming there.
In China, there is this place. I've never seen it, but I know it exists. It is called the Glorious Sports Rehabilitation Center. But really, it's a prison camp for athletes who have shamed their country by losing. My grandfather told me if I disgrace him with failure, he will send me there. I too dream of the day I can walk away from this game forever. I am not as lucky as you to have that choice, to live in America.
Playing on Huey's sensitivities.
Mm-hmm.
What you got on that one, Lynxi?
Yeah, it goes back to like the first one I picked when we're kind of talking about like, all of the oppression in China compared to America. And I'm like, we have those here too. They're just not reserved for people who shame our country. They're reserved for minorities and poor people and Black people just trying to live their fucking lives when the police decide to harass you and put you into the prison institution, sometimes for a legitimate reason, usually for not one at all. And then you're just in forced slavery and all that kind of stuff. Like that shit happens here too, people. Okay. Stop.
It's just it's not seen as a dramatic one place that it's all kept, like
right.
the sports rehabilitation center.
Mm-hmm.
And the victims don't look like them either.
No, not at all. Let's see. So, Onceler then reports to Mr. Longdow that the ref has been found dead under very suspicious circumstances. He was kidnapped, jumped off a bridge, and then overdosed on amphetamines, like you do. Then he tells that they found a replacement, Uncle Ruckus. Huey is back on the mound, looks at Ming prior to making his first pitch. He sees the worried look in her eyes and just pitches a meatball at her. She slams it, then another and another, and the Chinese players and Mandarin are asking one another why the big-haired kid is now so awful. The one tells the other that about the story that Ming told Huey that about the prison camp, and they're laughing about him that he actually believed that. But unknowing to them, Huey speaks Mandarin and responds, "I do not like being laughed at," and then starts taking them the fuck out. He pitches very aggressively, taking out several at the plate and some as they are running the bases. The Chinese team also gets more aggressive, but Huey just takes more of the Chinese out. The Chinese try to bribe Ruckus, but he's not having it, or their cat-flavored breath. He
was on one.
I mean, Ruckus does have some principles. So he can't be bought. He couldn't be bought by Ed, couldn't be bought by the Chinese. So, I don't think he was bought by Ed. I mean, he didn't say anything about that, but
he didn't have to be.
Yeah, true. Exactly. He's bought by just the whiteness of him. His white leadership. Back in their respective dugouts, the Woodcrest and Wusheng teams are completely and utterly beaten up. They've got one player left on each team, Ming and Huey. The Woodcrest fans in the stands start singing "America the Beautiful." Huey pitches to Ming with immense power. He does it's like an airbender thing. He starts to, I don't know when Avatar came out. It's probably just before this. So it wouldn't surprise me if some of that animation that they did for that it came from the airbending style from Avatar. So yeah, he does a full on circle around it, kicks the ball in the air, and then slams it back down to her. She kicks it, and it comes right back to him. And when she kicks the ball, her leg breaks. He catches the ball. His arm breaks. The ball then explodes in this big white heat. I mean, it's not even, there's no flames. It's just, it's nuclear. They're both out, fall to the ground. Ming starts crawling, towards the base. Huey then gathers himself. He picks up the smoldering remains of the ball, walks up over her, drops the ball on her. Ruckus calls her out. The game is now over. They then go to the scene where on the field where there's an ambulance that's been brought to take Ming to the ER. Onceler approaches Mr. Longdow about their bet, and Rensless. After that, Ruckus walks over to Onceler.
Congratulations, Mr. Onceler, sir. Your great white leadership made all the difference in the world. Now, what should we do about them?
Let them bask in the moment.
We beat those yellow motherfuckers. Mission accomplished.
Yeah, we ain't go out like no bitches.
Even though the people of Tibet are still not free, as symbolic victories go, this ain't bad.
I think Miss Von Hausen might be dead.
So, Linda, you picked that one, Lynxi.
Yes, because I feel like this is the clip that, like, if anything, summed up what we have been watching, kind of being mocked this whole episode, which you both have alluded to, like, for all of your clips too, which is like, listen, it's the people at the top, regardless of the country, regardless of our respective bullshit. It's the people at the top using the little people to frickin' fight their battles. Like, you know, Miss Van Hausen looks dead. You know, like,
Hey, and even she's rich, so she was not spared from Onceler.
And we're just tools of the wealthy, basically, more or less, or the business owners, shot callers, whatever. And all of the rhetoric and the racism and all this kind of bullshit, it's just shit they use to step on us so we can suffer. And then at the end of the day, they both walk away happy with how shit worked out and go on with their lives.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, many of the things that I put in there in my other notes was that, you know, about corrupt businessmen and powerful making bets on the backs of others. Also the sports patriotism with them singing "America the Beautiful" there. I'm like, it just felt gross. Because and that kind of, for me, that gets into the, you know, the kneeling thing when you know, it just that fake patriotism, that performative patriotism that comes out is just, I find, really gross. By the way, Jigme is played by Dante Bosco, also known as Rufio from Hook. So
no, bangarang. But that, like, they kind of referenced that even earlier in that clip I picked too, where Onceler says, like, "Oh, you finally showed up to fight for freedom." I was just like, "Oh, come on, guy."
Yep.
Not this shit.
Oh yeah, if they're always gonna try to play on the, oh, you're not, you know, you're not, if you're not for us, you're against us automatically. Just so if you're not, it's the playing on the patriotism thing, the freedom thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's
which, swing it back to what Demond was saying. That also ties right back into that post 9/11. Let's go after Afghanistan kind of bullshit. Like, if you're opposed in any way, you are not patriotic. You are un-American.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, real quick. One of so there's one of the pitches that Huey does that knocks out one of the Chinese players at the plate. When Ruckus tells them to take the base and they can't, and he uses a line from Blazing Saddles, dock this chink a day's pay for sleeping on the job. That's directly from Blazing Saddles.
I was wondering if that was from something or was that just Ruckus being hateful?
No, that was directly from Blazing Saddles in that very first part where they're building the tracks.
That same at bat actually, because that was right as Huey is starting to fire up, basically. Right before he pitches it, the camera is about to switch. That player, because when he sees the look in Huey's eyes, he immediately puts his hands over his crotch. Yeah. It's like a very split second. It's like a quick thing that I had to watch it. I think I watched it like 4 or 5 times today, and I saw it like the second or third time. I was like, wait a minute, did he just? Yeah. So I got tickled. It's those little details. I'm a gush a bit about this. The animation, I noticed was so good. Like the way they showed them move especially when they were kicking. Like it looked fluid. Like, and you know, the anime style fight scene with the anime style fight with the dodgeball at the end. I thought that was amazing, especially when they show Huey, you know, stop the ball and it breaks both his ulnar and his radial bones. It was
okay, Dr.
The
DeMond.
animation.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It was really well done. I mean, the animation when he does the when he does the kip up and then into the bicycle kick when he knocks out the lady talking about it, just all those animations. It was incredible. And what is it with you guys calling me in for sports episodes? I was here for the basketball one last time.
Yes.
You just got lucky, I guess.
We're women. We don't know about sports.
I'm not.
It was a joke. It's a joke.
I didn't think about Avatar on the air spin thing on the pitch because I immediately thought of Naruto because he does a move called the Rasengan and he has to. Whoops, I'm not gonna step over. And he has to spin the air the same way.
Really?
I think he has to actually. He does an opposite. He does like 2 different directions or something. But after you said that, I was like, oh, that does look like something from Avatar. So
yeah, well, one of the pieces of trivia that was listed out on the fandom site was that this is highly reminiscent of Dragon Ball Z. So, which I've never watched. So I've not. I mean, anime as far as true Japanese anime, I've never really watched. So it's all mine has been Avatar, Korra, and the Boondocks, and that's pretty much it.
Good choices.
Yeah, you've done well so far.
I agree. And I would say, speaking of the animation, I think they had a different team doing animation in this season. So, and I'm not sure where it is, but I think they had a different team because it's definitely a different look for season 3 than it is for 1 and 2.
I didn't notice that. The music, I like the music as well too. Did anybody recognize? Did you recognize any of the tunes or anything?
It was tripping me out so much. Like I tried to Google it and everything, but I could find nothing on it. But I swear the music they kept playing every time like the team was getting together to go fight, it sounds identical to this music in Final Fantasy VII before you do like he does like little side training quests and goes to like the workout house, and that is the music that always plays. But when I looked it up, I could find nothing about it, like nothing.
Yeah, I'm going on Tune and find where they usually keep a lot of that stuff. Red Ball, here we go. Oh, they don't have anything listed on Tune Find about it either.
Yeah,
interesting.
I swear though, if it's not that song, it's something extremely similar. I swear. Yeah,
I think the only one that I recognized was when Ruckus shows up and they always play the Jabba the Hutt theme. Which I think is perfect for Ruckus.
Can't unhear it now. Thank you.
And I always assume, and because I was I never watched Disney. I know that Disney has a racist past, but this is something I just recently found out myself, is that Uncle Ruckus, which I always thought was based off of, Uncle Tom.
Mm-hmm.
But his name is based off of Uncle Remus, that from Song of the South. So I found that out recently. I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay. So
Wow.
Sure.
So-
I don't like how we always dump on Tom, but I always took like Tom was also kind of being winked at as like an Uncle Tom.
I believe that is true.
Yeah.
So yeah, where he's more of the trying to fit in,
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that. And the Tom name, I guess, fits in that case. So
Right. One other thing. They talk about how the Chinese were the enemy, and they don't. They supposedly have this. I don't want to call it a concentration camp. The camp for if you fail in sports and stuff like that. After the game, you notice there was a hospital. There was a ambulance on the field
Mm-hmm.
to pick up Ming,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the rest of the Woodcrest team is in the dugout, just laid out. And I thought that was really interesting. I was like, the Chinese take care of their players, while the Americans let them bask in the glory as they're all beat up and taped up, and Miss Van Heusen may be dead.
yeah, and it's funny, she didn't speak at all in the episode, so because she previously been voiced by Marion Ross, so Mrs. Cunningham from Happy Days. This another piece of trivia was about how in this episode that this was the only other time that he's actually spoken directly to Ed III. So I thought that was kind of funny. Let's see, any other? Oh yeah, even at the end, I don't know if you looked at the scoreboard. Even though Woodcrest was declared the winners, it was 8-8. It was tied. It was a tied game.
They had the last player left.
I guess so. Yeah.
They had the last player standing.
Well, it's funny though. Even though all the Woodcrest players were still in the dugout, at the very end, you saw all the other Chinese players hanging over around me, so they were healthy. I mean, so I don't.
That's a good. Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious. What? Probably. Yeah, I don't know. So, we got anything else before we get into the white people question?
Not over here. Yeah.
Sir.
Okay. So let's let me move. Get my soundboard where I need to do it so I can do this. And welcome to Stupid White People Questions.
You mean I'm gonna stay this color?
Thank you. So, it's harder to find more and more stupid white people questions. So I have I'll call this an ignorant white person question, because I came up with this question, and it's just because I was, as I go through TikTok, I see things and I came across someone talking about Tutnese, or Tut, which was the original AAVE, I guess you could say. I mean, it's what the slaves used to talk to each other so that they wouldn't be understood by folks that they didn't want to be understood by. So their owners are other, white people. So, and I've looked at, I'd never heard about it until, just very recently. And they were talking about, you should never teach it to a white person. Even though it's available, you can go out and find out about it. But so my question here is that there's been talk recently over within social media about Tutnese. And what is your opinion on, number one, white folks learning it? And if you don't have an issue with white folks learning it, do you have an issue with white folks speaking it? Or do you have an opinion on it at all?
Lynxi.
Yeah, I don't care about, and like we've talked about this on other episodes, I I see appropriation for what it is, but it typically does not offend me too much. My vibe towards it is always like, okay, whatever, do what you want to do, but understand you may be offending other people. Are you offending Lindsay Lucas? Not so much, but that does not mean you are not offending lots of other Black people. And you always have to watch kind of like what you're doing, like how deep it can cut, right? So this is something that Black people as slaves had to do to kind of have the best chance possible at survival or, you know, getting through the day and et cetera, et cetera. If you're learning it and you're out here using it and doing it, whatever, I guess fine, but I just don't understand what need or purpose you would have for it at this time. Yeah. Now, if we're going to talk in my conspiracy theory bullshit, it might not be a bad idea for all of you to start learning ways to communicate when you don't want certain people around to know what's going on. Because as I firmly believe, we are going to eventually move into a world where oppression is not going to be, well, I mean, we're already kind of there, but oppression is not going to be exclusive to Black people. So any person who's now up for oppression, yeah, you should start learning from this concept and figuring shit out. But if you're out here on social media, kind of just, I don't know, using this shit in a way that's like disrespectful. Like if Eminem comes out and says he's going to be the first to rap and tut, I would kind of be like, oh, why? You know, like why are you doing that? Like, I kind of don't see the value. But again, I can recognize it as appropriation. I can say this is kind of ignorant, or this is kind of like dismissive towards the true origins of what this is, but I'm not about to press you all over it. You go out there and you use it, learn it, do whatever you want with it. But that's me.
I don't have anything to add, really.
I mean, because again, I'm very, very new to the idea of, I had never heard of it before, but I mean, after looking into it, I mean, I can see what, I mean, because we had, I mean, Pig Latin, I mean, it's very similar in structure to that. I mean, and it's what they call an argot or a cant. So it's a language used to mislead. And so I remember my mom also had one called Abu Dhabi, which was similar to Pig Latin, but it used different. I'm trying to remember how all that worked. I can't remember it now, but if I heard it again, I would remember. But there are different ones. I mean, so yeah, I was just, it was curious to me. I mean, because I do see it. I mean, it's a language and it's got its own rules and structure and things like that. So as far, I mean, it's kind of, you know, in regards to this episode, it's kind of like Huey listening in and knowing he speaks Mandarin, and then kind of uses that for his, you know, to make sure he still has his edge. So I just find it it's an interesting concept and of how that works, because I've seen arguments between Black people on TikTok about this, talking about, you know, is it gatekeeping, or, you know, so that's kind of why I brought the question up, because I was kind of curious what you thought about it. It's something I, as a white person, never had to think about. So
I'm, like I said, I don't know. If you want to learn it because you're a history buff or you think it's interesting or whatever, I really have no issue with it. It's just like, if I kind of just see you out here, like doing social media shit for clout, writing rap songs with it. I don't know, calling out to your homie on the street with it. I'm going to be like, why are you doing that? I kind of don't understand why you would want to do that. But again, it's not like, I mean, I don't fucking know it. It's not like me, I'm not saying other Black people don't. I don't know shit about it, to be honest with you. I understand the concept of it. but that's about it. Like,
well, what's your opinion on, I mean, just, standard, what's seen as AAVE these days about white people speaking in that manner?
So, I mean, I think that, and Damon, definitely don't let me dominate. I feel like that kind of goes back to when we talked about the N-word in the episode, a previous episode, and I said, I use it like crazy. I don't care. Now that I'm my own boss, especially, I be out here on Twitter talking in all kinds of like hood shit. And it's not even, I don't think it's even a code switch. It's just that I grew up in a very Catholic school, corporate environment, and then I grew up in the hood. So it's to me, kind of flopping between those is just very normal. That's just
you're bilingual.
Right. And it comes out when it comes out, and it does not come out based on environment. Like, I could be sitting in a boardroom and I'll be like, yo, y'all know the projector, that shit's broken, right? Like
that's fantastic.
It just comes out how it comes out now anyway. So I feel like that kind of behavior though now, or that kind of language again, is from growing up in the hood. And the hood, at least the hood I grew up in, was not exclusively Black people. It was still a very, very mixed neighborhood. I had a lot of Lao people who lived around me, a lot of Spanish people, a lot of refugees grew up in my neighborhood. So, I mean, we all talk like we're fucking from the hood because we are. And so I don't care about the shit like the people I grew around said. Like I even said on that episode, there are people of all races who I know who use the N-word, and it does not faze me. It really does not trigger me in any way. But I tell those people, don't think that because I am okay with it, that you're not going to get out here and freaking, I don't know, Crenshaw or wherever, drop that shit and get your ass beat. Like, that's the thing. So, I don't know. Y'all do you. I just ask that you be aware. If you're going to kind of be down with the sauce, like, kind of be aware of the culture that is attached to it, and when your behaviors might be interpreted as when your behaviors might be interpreted or could be taken as offensive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know Mike, I know who I am. I know I'm not going to do that, but I was curious just about, that entire, I mean, there are, the AAVE, whether it's, current AAVE or if you're looking at TUT, I mean, it has all its own rules and structure. And there was just even somebody talking about, black folks using doubling up words. So it was kind of like, did you go on a date or was it a date? Those types of things, and how that came to be. So I which, some comes from some form of African dialect that where they use double modifiers to explain how important it is, or how really significant that particular item is that they're talking about. So and because I know that some of that is even infiltrated, white folks, and because I remember the date thing, I kind of remember from a comedian that was talking about talking about how he went on a date, and his friend goes, "Was it a date?" He goes, "I think it was a date. I spent money." So. So yes, that also infiltrates outside. So yeah, because when it makes sense, it makes sense. Saying something like that, date, or did you work? Did you work? Well, I went to work, but I didn't work. So whatever it happens to be for you.
Absolutely. So much is found in intention. Like, again, if it just feels natural from you, it's not going to trigger anything. But if you kind of come up to all three of you, us three are sitting at a coffee table, and then, we all order a coffee, and I order matcha tea, and you and Dean and Demond order a coffee. And then the waitress says to Demond, "Oh, a coffee." Then I would be like, what is this bitch doing? Like, why are you doing? You know what I mean? That's when it gets weird. But otherwise, y'all, I don't really give a fuck. Do whatever you want to do, but just be aware of what you're doing and watch the consequences.
Yep.
And I would just throw the black power fist up to let her know that I just want my coffee black.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So anything else we want to discuss before we do our send off?
I don't think so.
Well, Damon, thank you so much for joining us again. It was a pleasure. It always is.
Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah.
Thank you for having me. Can I hit my pluggables real quick?
Get after it.
You can find me on Damon Does. I've got 61 episodes, most of them interviews. And I've interviewed everybody that's been on that is a consistent contributor on this show. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the Different World Pod. I am a co-host with this guy named Dean on this show called Disputed, which is amazing. And this Friday we have
Thursday.
Thursday. It'll be Sting versus The Undertaker. So if you're a wrestling fan, this is the one. This is going to be one of the ones to watch. And also, I have been propositioned.
Hey now,
that's probably a bad way of putting it.
Hey, Damon.
I have been. Well, I am sexy,
and you know it.
Right.
Wiggle, wiggle.
What'd you say?
Wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Wiggle, man.
I love it.
I graduated with one of the librarians here in town, and she had put out a bat signal about wanting to do a podcast, and one of a mutual friend mentioned me, so I will be doing hopefully soon a library podcast about the small town I live in Jeffersonville. So
right on.
That'll be cool.
Hell yeah.
Everybody needs libraries.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The Reading Rainbow.
They need to hire that man for Jeopardy and be done with it.
Yes.
They need to hire him and be done with it. Every time they keep it's like, oh, we're going to have this guy. Yeah, he's trash.
They not only fired him for being the host, they fired him from the show completely. And they brought Mayim Bialik. I don't mind Mayim Bialik. She's great, but she's not LeVar Burton. Come on.
No. How to F up your bag in 3 steps.
All right, Lynxi, you got anything else?
Well, before we do this outro,
to
invite everyone back next week, where are we inviting them?
Well, you know what? If you go, if we're going to do the live, which I think we're still planning on doing, you will find us out on our, if you look up the Boondocks Podcast YouTube, we will be on there. That will be next week, which is, what day is Tuesday next week? That is
the 7th.
The 7th. So yeah, the 7th at 7 p.m. is when we'll start, like we normally do. So on our YouTube, and I'll put it on our Facebook as well. So it'll be on our fucking Facebooks. It'll be on our fucking YouTube, and maybe I'll set up a Twitch. Who knows? But
figure it out.
Figure it out. Put it on your fucking Facebooks. All right, Lynxi. Anything else?
No.
Before I hit buttons.
Nope. We just may too have to put in the show notes or something, or just put out on our social, places where they can find the episode, since this one's a little dicey.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. And I'm looking forward to everything you have to say about it, because I think it'll be great.
Oh, yes. I'm going to watch 5 times in preparation.
Yeah. And anybody who's listening, you'll be able to comment and ask questions as we're going through the episode. So if you're on the Facebook or the YouTubes or wherever we are, you should be able to leave comments, and we'll be able to put them up on the screen and answer them as we go along. All right. Okay, kids. Goodbye, everybody. We love you all.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I need you to get the hell up out of here.
Hey, thanks for joining us again as we make our way through the trials and tribulations of the Freeman family. We hope to see you back again next time for The Story of Jimmy Revel. Want to know where to find us on the social medias or where to subscribe to the podcast? Just head right over to www.theboondockspod.com/links.
Have a stupid white people question you want to leave us? Email us at host@theboondockspod.com or leave us a voicemail at 760-933-8636. That's 760-we-3-undo.
Shout out to the artists who've created our intro and outro tunes. Our intro is #MakeAChange by KIRK. You can find them on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. Our outro is Good Times by Audio Binger. You can find them on freemusicarchive.org and YouTube.